Hey, did you ever notice how some days you wake up feeling like you aged 10 years overnight? Maybe you're more tired than usual, maybe your mood's all over the place, or maybe even that belly that used to flatten out after a few good walks just isn't budging anymore. And what makes it worse? You can't figure out why because nothing at all in your routine has changed. Well, it might not be just getting older. It could be your hormones. And today, we're going to talk about how your hormones affect aging and what you can do about that naturally. Welcome back to Life After 55, where we talk about healing, hope, and holding on to joy one day at a time. I'm Roy, and I am glad you are here. Now, last week, I mentioned we'd be talking about hormones this week, and for good reason. Because when they're out of whack, they can make you feel a whole lot older than you really are. So, before we start anything, let me quickly remind you that this video is for educational purposes only. I am not a doctor, I am not a medical professional, or a counselor in any way, shape, or form. The information I provide is based on my own research and my own experience. This isn't medical advice, and you should always check with your healthcare provider or medical professional before trying any new remedies or changing your routine, especially if you are taking medication or if you are managing a health condition. Okay, now I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. Once this channel hits 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be launching something special, the Life After 55 membership. It's going to include extra natural remedy videos, a monthly holistic healing newsletter, and even a fun behind the scenes series called Road Trip with Roy, where I'll visit interesting and historic places around the Southeast. I'm going to tell you a little more about that later on in this episode. So, if you have not subscribed yet, now would be a great time to join us, so you'll be among the first to know when that goes live. Okay, so why hormones matter. Let's get into it now. Let's start with what hormones actually are. Now, if you're somebody who already knows about this, please bear with me because there may be many here who don't know what you might already know, and it may be helpful and informative for them. I know I learned a lot when I was doing the research for this. In simple, plain English, hormones are tiny chemical messengers that travel through your bloodstream, and they tell your organs and your tissues what to do. They're made by glands like your thyroid, adrenals, ovaries, or testes, and they control everything from your energy and mood to your metabolism, to your digestion, and even how well you sleep. Now, somewhere around the age of 50, 55, somewhere in there, hormone levels naturally shift. And that's true for both men and for women. For women, this is often tied to menopause, which, for those of you who might not know, is when the ovaries slow down production of estrogen and progesterone. For men, testosterone production tends to drop more gradually, but it still makes a difference. So, let's go through the main hormones and break them down again in plain English. First of all, estrogen. What is estrogen? Well, this is the main female sex hormone. And again, with ladies, I know you know this, but there's a lot of guys that don't know all this. So this is more for them than you, this part. Anyways, estrogen is the main female sex hormone, but men have it too. It's only men have it in much smaller amounts. And what it does is it helps regulate the menstrual cycle. It also supports bone health. It protects the heart, and it even affects mood and brain function. So why does that matter after 55? Well, when estrogen drops, women can notice hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, and thinning bones. For men, low estrogen, which is caused by low testosterone, can affect bone health and mood. For example, if you think of estrogen like the oil in your car's engine, when the oil in your car's engine gets low, things start to grind and overheat. Okay? Next, let's talk about progesterone. What is progesterone? Progesterone is another key female hormone. It's also present in small amounts in men. And what does it do? It prepares the body for pregnancy, but it also has a calming, stabilizing effect on mood and on sleep. Now, why does that matter after 55? Well, low progesterone can lead to anxiety, irritability, trouble sleeping, and for women, heavier or irregular periods before menopause fully sets in. Now, an example of this would be progesterone is like your body's calm down blanket. Without enough of it, your mind and your body can feel restless. All right, now we'll go into testosterone. Now, this is the one the men, I'm sure, know about. What it is the main male sex hormone, but women also have it. See, and that was something I didn't know when I was researching that. I didn't realize men had estrogen and women had testosterone. I really didn't know that. And here I am at the age I'm at and never knew that. So anyways, that's why I said earlier, a lot of this is for the men, because I'm sure the women all know this. But anyways, it's the main male sex hormone, and women have it too, just in smaller amounts. Now, what does testosterone do? Well, it builds muscle, it keeps bones strong, it boosts libido, and it supports energy and mood. Why does this matter after 55? Low testosterone can cause fatigue, it can cause low sex drive, loss of muscle, weight gain, and depression. For example, testosterone is like the fuel in your tank. When it's low, you can't get far no matter how hard you press on the gas pedal. Next on the list is thyroid hormones. What are they? These are made by your thyroid gland, which is located in your neck, and there's mainly two of them, T3 and T4. Now, the T stands for a scientific name, and if you ask me to pronounce that, I will butcher the heck out of it because it's a long name. I am not a doctor, and I'm sure medical students and doctors know what that is, but most people refer to it as T3 and T4. Anyways, what they do is they control metabolism, which is how fast your body uses energy. And why they matter so much after 55 is if your thyroid slows down, which is also known as hypothyroidism, you might feel tired, gain weight, have dry skin, thinning hair, and you might feel cold all the time. Another example that we can put in plain English would be like your thyroid is like the thermostat in your house. If it's turned down too low, everything slows down and feels sluggish. Another hormone is cortisol. What cortisol is, it's your main stress hormone. This is not necessarily a good thing when you have too much of it. But it's made by the adrenal glands. And what it does is it helps your body respond to stress. It regulates blood pressure, and it manages your energy use. Again, why does this matter after 55? If your cortisol is too high for too long, often from chronic stress, it can cause belly fat, poor sleep, high blood pressure, and even memory problems. An example we could use for this would be cortisol is like an emergency alarm. It's great for short bursts, but if it never shuts off, it wears you down. And last but not least on the hit parade here is insulin. Insulin is a hormone that's made by the pancreas. Now, what it does is it helps your body use sugar which basically is glucose for energy. And why that matters is after 50, with your with age comes problems a lot of times. And as far as insulin goes, your body can become less sensitive to insulin as you get older, which is known as insulin resistance. That can lead to higher blood sugar, and eventually that leads to type 2 diabetes. Example of this would be insulin is like the key to the door of your cells. If the lock stops working, sugar just stays in your blood instead of being used for energy. Pardon me. Before we get any further, I want you to know that I came down with something earlier this week, and I lost my voice for 2 days, and it's still not totally back. It's almost all the way back. Actually, I wasn't even going to do this because of my voice. Excuse me, but it's starting to give out, I think, again. Anyhow, I'm going to keep going as hopefully I can get through the rest of this. Signs that your hormones could be out of balance. If you have fatigue even after a full night's sleep, that could be one sign. Weight gain, especially around the middle, without any big changes in your diet. That's another warning sign. Mood swings, anxiety or depression, those are all warning signs that your hormones might be out of whack. Brain fog or trouble concentrating, sleep problems, trouble falling or staying asleep, hot flashes or night sweats, thinning hair or dry skin. I have both of those, but I don't have all of these things. But anyways, I'm sure my hormones could use a tune-up. Anyways, low libido, aches, pains, or slower recovery after activity. Some natural ways to help balance your hormones. The first thing I think for pretty much anything is to eat right. And if you eat, whole real foods, especially fiber-rich vegetables, healthy fats, and good proteins, these things are all great for you. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, including mine. I have always been pretty much a junk food. I told you a couple episodes back my McDonald's story, and even though I haven't gone to that extreme, I still eat fast food, which I shouldn't. I am on the other side of that. I am getting better and cooking better things, and eating more leafy vegetables and salads and things that I really was not a fan of my whole life. There was one time I was really into grilled chicken salads. There was this place in Connecticut where I used to live, and there was a mall there that had a restaurant, and I couldn't for the life of me tell you what the name of that restaurant was, but I used to love going in there, and they had the best grilled chicken salad. Anyhow, that's neither here nor there. Anyways, fiber helps your body flush out excess estrogen. See, I can't talk. Healthy fats, too, are needed to make hormones, and protein supports muscle and blood sugar balance. Now, a good example of that would be, if you traded your sugary breakfast cereal for something like scrambled eggs with spinach or avocado with it. Another thing that helps your hormones is move, but don't overdo it. Like gentle strength training 2 to 3 times a week plus walking or light cardio is ideal. Exercise helps balance insulin and it lowers stress hormones, but too much intense exercise can raise cortisol. If you're exhausted for days after a workout, that's your body telling you you've done too much. Okay, and just as a little sidebar to that, if you're up in the years like myself, getting a little long in the tooth, as they say, something I've just started doing, and I just started doing this, so I'm not a spokesperson, or I can't tell you yes or no, it's good or bad, but I started doing chair yoga. I guess that's old man's Tai Chi or whatever. Anyways, I'll keep you all posted on that if you are interested on how I'm making progress with that. But that's a light exercise, and you move, you stretch, and all that. And it's not killing me, not yet, anyways. Okay, another thing we need to do is we need to make sleep a priority. We should all be aiming for 7 to 9 hours, and try to go to bed and wake up at the same times. Like if you go to bed at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, try to keep that consistent. Your body repairs and it balances your hormones while you sleep. If you have trouble winding down, and this is another thing we've talked about in other episodes, if you do have trouble winding down at night, dim the lights an hour before bed. Turn off your screens, your phone screen, your computer, your tablet, whatever it is you're looking at, your television. Turn that off an hour before you go to bed. Grab something to read, whether it's the newspaper or a book, a devotional, something. A romance novel, whatever it is that you like to read. It kind of helps you wind down. And a big thing is stress. We've talked about stress in almost every episode of everything that I've done so far in these videos. There's like, when I was doing this one, the research for it, I noticed, thinking back on all the ones I've done, there's really 3 common denominators in all of these videos. One is stress. Another one is hydration. You should have water. And the other one is eating good. Those are pretty predominant in every single video I've done. Stress is probably the biggest out of those, because stress is definitely not good for you. And again, I know what stress is like. Trust me, I know. And I know it's easy, for somebody to say, you shouldn't be stressed out. But I mean, there are things you can do. There's prayer, there's deep breathing, there's time outside. Go take a walk, chill. You can do some light stretching, whatever helps you feel grounded. Because chronic stress keeps cortisol high, which throws off your other hormones. Now, just on a personal note, I start all my mornings with quiet prayer. That's the first thing I do. And I take a short walk. There's many mornings I'll get in the car after I pray, and I'll drive down to the beach. And I'll, early, and I'm talking early in the morning before the tourists or whoever gets to the beach. I'm talking, sunrise. And, I'll sit there and just, it's amazing how, at least for me, it's quieting. But again, that's my routine. I learned that as a little boy, to start my day with prayer. Personally, I thank God that I woke up. For one thing, I'm alive still, and I'm breathing still. Yes, I have COPD. Yes, it's harder to breathe, but I am still breathing, and I'm thankful for that. And, I'm one who does believe in God, and I believe He does keep me alive for whatever reason. Maybe I'm helping somebody through these videos. I don't know. Hopefully I am, but that's just my thing. That's what I do. And to me, it tends to make the day go better. To me, I was taught as a boy, if you walk the day with God, your day is going to be better than walking the day without God. And so, like I said, rather than take it for granted that I woke up and everything, I pray and thank Him that I did wake up. And, I hope for a good day, and for Him to be with me and walk with me all day and keep me out of trouble and keep me out of whatever. And again, that's just me. But, those days that I go to the beach, it changes the whole tone of my day when I do that. And it does. And it's, a lot of people go, gee, how come you're not all, stressed out, wigged out, whatever. I think that has a lot to do with it. Now, another thing is you can consider herbs and supplements. And if you are going to do that, make sure you do it with your doctor's approval. There's maca root. That helps with energy, and it helps your mood. Ashwagandha. This lowers cholesterol, and it supports thyroid. Black cohosh. That helps with menopause systems. Magnesium. That's good for muscle relaxation, for sleep, for blood flow. blood flow to the brain helps you from getting brain fog. And I think, I don't know this yet, I didn't research this part of it, but I also believe it helps with your mood. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just my take on it, because I do magnesium, and for the most part, I'm in a good mood all the time. And yes, I have pressure too. I have stress. I have financial pressure and whatever, but I deal with it. It is what it is. And if you were going to do any of this stuff, just always start low, go slow, and make sure you check with your health care provider first. Another thing we've always talked about, like I said, was hydration. Hydration and gut health. Drink enough water daily. And again, this is something I am guilty of. I do not drink enough water daily, but I am getting better at that as well. I'm not where I should be, but I'm getting there. Drink enough water, and then include stuff like probiotic foods, like yogurt, sauerkraut, things like that, because a healthy gut helps regulate estrogen, and it keeps inflammation low for those of you who are suffering from arthritis. It helps. Another thing, this thing kind of surprised me when I was researching it, was avoid hormone disruptors. Cut back on plastics, especially plastics that you use for food storage. Believe it or not, those things leach, which I kind of knew, but I really didn't. And those, are basically hormone disruptors. Artificial fragrances, pesticide exposure. These can mimic or block hormones, confusing your system. Now, some myths and some mistakes. One of the myths I saw a lot when I was researching this is only women need to worry about hormones after 55. The truth is, men experience shifts too, especially with testosterone and thyroid. Another myth is, if I just take supplements, I'll be fine. The truth of the matter is, lifestyle changes are the foundation. Supplements are just tools, and that's why I keep talking about drinking water, by exercising, taking a walk, stretching, whatever, eating right, those are all the foundation of getting back to where you should be. And a mistake that a lot of people make is ignoring all the symptoms that we talked about until they get severe. The sooner you address hormone imbalance, the easier it is to restore that balance. All right? So, when we clear away the myths and we start living in truth about our health, it's not just about feeling better physically. It's about reclaiming the life God wants for us. Every small step we take toward balance is a way of stewarding the body that He has given us. You may or may not believe that. I do not believe in evolution. I don't believe I came from a monkey. I believe there is a being, a heavenly being, who created us in His image and created man and woman. See, there's my voice thing going again. Pardon me. And so I believe that He intended for us to care for the bodies that He gave us. And a lot of us, probably 99.9% of us don't. Excuse me. When we are younger, a lot of us tend to abuse alcohol, marijuana, things like that. I know I did all of that, and I'm sure a lot of you did too. I just think, there was an old timer. I don't know if I've told you this before, but there was an old timer I was talking to. I was having coffee with a couple months ago, a friend of mine, and we were just talking about growing up and stuff. And he remarked, it's funny how when we're growing up, we spend all our money screwing our bodies up, and then when we get older, we spend all our money fixing the mistakes we made when we were younger. And I thought about that, and I said, he's not wrong. But anyways, I believe that we should be good stewards of our body, and I certainly have not been. I'm guilty of abusing mine, and I'm trying to get it back to where it should be. With God's help, that'll happen. All right. Now, when our own strength feels too small, we can lean into His arms, and that brings me to, you know what? It's time for my Bible reading. And no, I'm not going to torture you all with a sermon or nothing, but today I am going to read from Isaiah chapter 40, verses 29 through 31, and it's not that long, so relax. Now, what you see on the screen is a kind of a condensed version of this, but that is from the King James Version. And all the Bible readings that I do are from the King James Version. That's my Bible. I've grown up with it, and I believe it. If you have a Bible and you care to read along, please do. Any version of the Bible is welcome here. So let me read this, starting in verse 29. And again, we're in Isaiah chapter 40, and verse 29 says, "He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might He increaseth strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fail. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint." Now, I personally find that very encouraging, especially as I get older and I know I can't run like I did when I was 18, when I was 20. I can't even breathe anymore like that. But anyways, it's to me, it's a beautiful promise that one day, when Jesus comes back to reclaim who He's going to reclaim, hopefully I'm in that crowd. And He's going to renew our bodies and everything, and there'll be no more pain, there'll be no funeral homes, there'll be no tears. Personally, I can't wait, but anyhow, that's me, and I don't want to segue off into a sermon here, because I know that's not why you are here. So, balancing your hormones is not an overnight fix, and it's not. So don't go away from this thinking you're going to be fine in a week or two, because it's a time, it's a thing that's going to happen over time. But with God's guidance and a little daily effort, your body can heal itself in amazing ways. That's another thing. Anything at all on this earth that man has built needs to be repaired. It breaks down and repair. The human body is the only thing that is capable of repairing itself for the most part. I mean, yes, there is cancer, there's leukemia and things like that. I understand that your body's not going to heal itself with that. But, other things, you cut yourself, you scab up and it heals, you get a cold, you heal from things like that, bee stings, whatever. It's just amazing to me how what God created can heal itself, whereas no machine that man has made can do that. At least not yet. All right. Anyways, enough of that. I know I'm getting off into the sermon territory, and that's not what you're here for. So, before we wrap this up, I want to make sure to let you know, that I have made a free hormone health quick reference chart to go along with this episode. There should be a link to the download or to download it in the pinned comment below. Okay. This is a nifty little guide I thought you could use. It explains the hormones, the ones that we talked about. It talks about what they do and why they're important and things like that. So if you are interested, you can download that. Look for the link in the pinned comment below. And once again, I just want to remind everybody, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, the Life After 55 membership is going to launch. It'll have extra natural health videos, monthly wellness tips, and those behind-the-scenes road trip with Roy adventures to interesting and historic places and some nature places and things like, the Nag's Head Lighthouse, for example, the Wright Brothers Memorial. There's all kinds of things around here. Anyways, so I'm going to be doing things around the Southeast and hopefully take you with me and virtually. On a side note, I just want everybody to know that I am already working on building the newsletter right now, and I hope to have a mock-up of it to show you in the next episode. It's a beautiful digital newsletter with videos, holistic healing tips, and even a healthy recipe. So, like I said, I'm in the process of building that right now, and hopefully I can show you a mock-up of it in the next episode. So, if you would like to be a part of that from day one, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the announcement. Okay? Now, to recap, understand your hormones. And again, don't, take advantage of the the hormone reference guide that I made for you. Understand that, your hormones, notice the signs, make simple lifestyle changes, and give your body the tools it needs to get back in balance. You don't have to just accept feeling off as part of aging. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, share it with a friend, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode next week, where we are going to talk about our immune system. And the reason is because I got sick this week. Like I said, I lost my voice and I'm losing it again as we speak. I'm almost done, so luckily I think I made it through. But cold and flu season is coming. And we're going to talk about the title of the episode is Cold and Flu Season is Coming, Natural Ways to Stay Healthy. With back to school just around the corner, it's the perfect time to strengthen your immune system before the sniffles and the colds and the flus all start. And, the reason I lost my voice, I don't know, but I know that my friend, she lost her voice. She lost her voice for over a week. And there was another lady I knew that she lost her voice for about 3 or 4 or 5 days. Mine, I lost, I guess on Monday. It is now Wednesday, and I've got it back, but it's, I don't know if you can tell or not, but it certainly isn't 100%. Okay. So, if you need, if you have a prayer request or a story you'd like to share, please leave it in the comments or email me. I would love to hear from you. Oh, and remember, the pinned comment below has the link to grab your free Hormone Health Quick Reference Chart. Okay? All right. So again, I want to thank each of you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I do. And please share this or any of the other videos on this channel with anyone you know who may need them or be helped by them. And with that said, I just want to wish each of you health, happiness, and God's blessings in every step you take. I'm Roy, and Lord willing, I will see you here again next week on Life After 55. Bye-bye.